All right, everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome to some news here dropping about Troy Terry in the last few minutes here in the last hour. Andy Strickland tweeting that Troy Terry is available for Anaheim, and I can't quite get that on the screen. That's okay. But Strickland saying that Terry is available from Anaheim, and Andy Strickland, for people that are wondering, is fairly plugged in to the Ducks. He's had I think he's had a bunch of Ducks players on his podcast, the Cam and Strick podcast. He's also had Joel Quenneville on there, so he's had a few different people on from the Ducks, and you can see it maybe a little bit better there. So I think that his credibility is fairly intact for me. He's not someone that I would question too hard on this. So this is something to take somewhat seriously. Now, the question is, what does Troy Terry is available mean? What does that mean exactly? Unclear. I would say that it's noteworthy that it's being said, right? Because GMs take calls on players every day. They text and email and whatever with other GMs about their players all the time. So I think for Strickland to actually report that Terry is available speaks to something maybe bigger at play, that either he's been made available or the Ducks want it known that he's available, or maybe Troy Terry wants out. So there's kind of two different pathways that this can really go. It's either that Troy Terry wants out or that the Ducks want him out. And so we'll kind of take those in turn and address them. So first and foremost, just talking about Troy Terry as just individually, he's on a 7-year deal, making $7 million per year, and I don't think there's any trade protection on his contract. Let me just make sure on that. He does have a modified no trade clause, so he has a 10-team no trade list. So that's something to keep in mind. 7 of those might just be Canadian teams, and then the other 3, maybe it's Buffalo plus, I don't know, other teams. So there's that to account for. But if you look at his contract, at the time where it was signed, it took 8.38% of the total salary cap at the time. And now with the cap going up to, it's going to be 95, then 104, then 113, that his percentage of the cap is going to decrease. It's going to go down to about 6.5% in a couple of years. So that's pretty good value for a player of his caliber. If you look at his career stats, 55 points this year on a really bad team, that's pretty good. Now it's not amazing, but I think that just from that context, it's not bad. And then a couple of years ago, 61 points. Going back further, 67 points. That was basically the year that got him the contract. So in a good environment, he's a 60 to 70 point guy. And for 6%-ish of your salary cap, that seems like a pretty good deal. So if it's the Ducks who want him gone, it doesn't quite make sense to trade him unless you're getting a substantial return. So just going over more of the stats though, Troy Terry this year, his track data, still very excellent across the board. You know, he's very active. You can see in the defensive zone on retrievals, helping break the puck out, just being really active as a defender, which we've always kind of known about him. He's great at lifting sticks, at breaking up plays. And then in terms of transition, he's so good at entering the zone. I mean, he's almost breaking the chart here with his zone entries per 60. So he's really good at carrying the puck over the offensive blue line and getting possession. And that's an important skill. You need guys like that on your team. If you look at the kind of offense that he generates, he kind of does it in all the different manners. He does it above average off the cycle and the forecheck, but also above average off the rush. So he's a rush threat, but he's also a threat on the cycle. He gets deflections, so that shows that he kind of goes to the net as well. Doesn't get a ton of rebounds, though. Or actually, sorry, does get a ton of rebounds, but not a ton of one-timers, which we know doesn't get a lot of shots off of high-danger passes, and that, to me, is a reflection more of his line mates, that he's not getting set up, as opposed to he's not capable of doing that. And then you look at his passing data, and he's really good at getting into the center lane and then creating passes from there. Generates a lot of high danger assists, so a lot of passes into the slot, into the inner slot. So again, like, start stacking these things up. Good defensively, good at carrying the puck, good at generating offense, good at setting up other players. And then you look just generally at his offense, gets a lot of shots, contributes to a lot of shots for his team, contributes to scoring chances, creates rebounds. So this is a very good player. Troy Terry is very good, and I think that that still holds true despite the fact that the stats, the goals and assists aren't that high. Now, you may say maybe this is a product of his role, that he just plays a lot, and so he's generating this, and that maybe could be true. Maybe on a Stanley Cup champion team, he's more like a second liner. Now, if you look at his actual just impact data, so how does he impact on ice play in terms of goals, expected goals, shot attempts, different things. So this is his 3-year sample. So this is a total of 3,438 minutes. So this is a large sample. So over that stretch, Troy Terry does contribute to goals being scored on the ice. When he's on the ice, he has a positive impact on goals, which is pretty important. Has a positive impact on offense in terms of expected goals and shot attempts. Defensively, not as great. And this is a pretty large sample. So is this a reflection of him or the team? It's probably somewhere in the middle because the Ducks have been really bad defensively. And also, like, his offense could probably be a little higher if the team was just better around him. Now, on the power play, it's interesting because when he's out there, there's a lot of offense going on in terms of expected goals and shot attempts, but that hasn't translated to actual goals. Again, is that a product of him? Is that a product of the power play? We've all seen the Ducks power play over the last few years, and it hasn't been good. So take that with a grain of salt. Now, going year by year, last year Troy Terry was really impactful in terms of generating offense. The goal production, as you can see, wasn't there, and that's reflected in his box score stats. Defensive impact, kind of the same as it's been in that 3-year sample, and the power play looks about the same. Now, that's on a very bad team, a very bad 5-on-5 team. So I think the fact that he's impacting offense to that degree is a positive sign. Now, you go back 2 years ago, to me, this is actually a down year because, yes, the Ducks were bad, but he wasn't having really much of any effect on play. Like, it was, yes, above average, even with the goal impact, but power play, 5-on-5, it was just not a good year for him. And that was the first Cronin year. And I do remember distinctly watching that and just thinking, like, man, he's overhandling the puck. He's making mistakes. I believe that was the first year coming, off of his new contract. So maybe he felt some additional pressure. The team also was bad. Who knows? He did not live up to his standard that year. And then you go back the year before that, things look a lot better in terms of impact on scoring, power play. Things look a lot better. And then going back to his 37-goal season, things look good. So overall, like, is Troy Terry an elite player? No, he's certainly not an elite player. But in terms of a top 6 player for the price that he's getting paid, it's tough to do a lot better than him, especially considering his age. I mean, he's 27, so he's squarely in his prime. He turns 28 in the fall, but he's going to give you probably 3, 4, maybe 5 more years of this. Let's call it 4. And it begs the question of, again, if you're the Ducks, look at this player that you have. Why would you trade that? The flip side of that is that that's an attractive trade piece for another team because of the cost certainty, the rising cap, the quality of the player. There's a lot of factors that would make him potentially attractive to another team. The question, though, is if you're the Ducks, what do you want for him? And because of how good he is, because of how valuable he is just in terms of his production/impact versus his cost versus his salary, I think that it only really makes sense to trade him if you are getting a true upgrade in return. So include him in a package for, say, a Jason Robertson, who may or may not be available from the Stars. And looking at his salary, Where is he at? He is at 7.75. He's an RFA next summer. Maybe that's who you have in mind if you're Pat Verbeek. There's been talk of maybe the Ducks circle Martin Necas. That one, he's a UFA next offseason. And I don't really think that Terry is I don't think Necas is a big enough upgrade on Terry. Plus, you're going to have to sign him to a new contract on the new salary cap. You're going to have to add assets. Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense for me to go and get Necas. And I like Necas. Like, you can see his stats are good to great. Let's see. Make sure I'm not speaking out of turn here. Actually pretty mediocre this year. Good last year, but horrific defensively on a really good defensive team. So, yeah, I think I'm out on Necas for Terry. And then, let's see. So Necas, Robertson. Outside of that, I mean, people have talked about Tage Thompson in Buffalo. Maybe that's a guy that, the Sabres want to get off of a young player to get more of a certain value. Maybe they view Tage Thompson as not part of that, but Tage Thompson's the same age, actually, as Troy Terry. And I don't quite know, outside of a change of scenery, why the Sabres would trade him. I know why the Ducks would want him. I know why Pat Verbeek would want him, because he's 6'6", and he's got a 44 goal season, 47 goal season, 38 goal season. So from that perspective, sure. But why would Buffalo do that? Unclear. People have brought up JJ Peterka. I genuinely don't get that one, unless I just don't get that one. He's a younger player. If your goal is to make the playoffs next season, why would they include Terry for a player like that, unless what we're being told about their plans for next season are not fully accurate? And then outside of that, no other real targets come to mind, at least right now. So that's kind of the overview. That's my take. I don't think it's wrong to trade Troy Terry. I don't think it's wrong to shop him. But I think that you really have to be getting a true upgrade. Whether that's a type like Robertson, who's younger but who's already better and who's going to be with you long term, or I don't know, like a true blue chip young player who's going to help extend your window. Because I personally don't think that they need to go all in to make the playoffs next season. It's got to be within reason. So not against it, but just somewhat confused about the origin of this report and just kind of what's going on. We've got an update. Team spokesperson reached out and says Terry is not available, so we'll see if anything comes out of it. Was told by an individual with a different team. Also here, Jamie Benn will return to Dallas. Wow, so that actually clarifies a lot of things. So now we know where it's coming from, an individual from another team. The Ducks have refuted that. But, the Ducks, I don't necessarily put any stock into that, because the Ducks PR would never want that out there. If that's going to be admitted, they are not going to be, they're not going to stand idly by. They're going to put a wet blanket on it and try to put the fire out. They don't want Troy Terry flipping out. So yeah, I don't really put a ton of stock into the whole, the team spokesperson, because I know who that spokesperson is very likely, and I don't think they would know. Maybe they know, or they asked, and Verbeek has said no, but he's just trying to cover his tracks. Like, I just don't really put any stock into that. Jamie Benn will return to Dallas. Sure, don't care. Got a Marner tweet here. I don't believe Mitch Marner leaving Toronto is about chasing the biggest contract. So much focus has been about him possibly being paid $14 million or more. Truly believe this is about a change of scenery and a fresh start. He's been paid crazy money for several years. I don't think he's chasing the biggest contract as much as a chance to win. Does that take the Ducks out of it? Maybe, or maybe not. Who knows? So yeah, I guess that second tweet doesn't really change it. I think that Andy Strickland wouldn't report Terry being available willy-nilly, depending on, again, the source of who he heard that from on a different team. So we shall see. We shall see. Fun little thing. I'm now going to look at the chat. And if anyone has any questions, throw them in the chat. Strickland did not take it back. I'm seeing that in the chat. Yeah, where does he take it back? He says team spokesperson reached out and says Terry is not available. So we'll see if anything comes out of it. How is that him taking it back? That's him saying someone else is saying it's not true. And again, like I said, Ducks PR is the least reliable source. I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. They are telling they are the most control freak PR department of the league. Like, this is just known. They do not want things out there ever that they don't want to be out there. If something is out there from them, it's because they want it to be out there. So, like, you guys, I mean, if you guys think that that means that this isn't true, maybe it casts some doubt, maybe it casts reasonable doubt, but I don't think that it means that Andy Strickland's initial statement is just untrue, or that it's invalid. So there you go. Strickland is not walking it back. You guys are just poor at interpreting things. That's okay. All right, well, if you guys have any questions, please throw it into the chat and I will address them. Or not. We can just also end this. I'll just start reading comments. Nathan Peterson, would seem like it's the Stars that's the source. Why drop that random Jamie Benn tidbit? Why are those things related? Why are those things related? Why is Jamie Benn returning related to Terry? Maybe it's a Star source, but I don't see it. Do you think Strickland is connected this to Dallas? Feels odd to include. I just don't think it's relevant. I think that's him trying to put something else out there. I don't think you can draw a straight line between those two things. What would your ideal trade for Robertson be? Not Troy Terry. Ronald McDonald, so the PR do this for Terry and not Z. Yeah. Interesting how that works. Keep in mind the GM and the PR are like this. So, again, the PR department is an arm of the GM. I'm just, again, putting that out there. Question, will Jake be in shambles if Terry is traded? I mean, both Jake and I are huge fans of Troy Terry and have been for a long time. I think it just really depends on the return, and I think that would probably be Jake's take as well. What do you make of McTavish and Verbeek not talking at all yet? Are we getting a Ziegler situation? I don't know. I don't know if that's been put out there. But if they haven't talked yet, I don't really care until more is known. Copying Jake's question, who's the better fit, Robo or Mitch Marner? I mean, Marner's the better player, but Robertson is younger. I mean, you can't really go wrong with either. Yeah, Terry's a staple in Anaheim. PR can't let that be out there. Yeah, I mean, he's on a 7-year contract. Like, Trevor Zegras might not get another contract with the Ducks. Like, there's a difference in stature, in my opinion. Is it possible that Dallas is the team and he was told Terry was included in a potential package? I just don't know why. Is this just all because of the Jamie Benn thing? Not quite picking up on that. 10th overall plus Terry plus prospect for Natchez. I just don't think Natchez is worth it. I think Terry, just keep Terry if you're going to get Natchez. Like, they're almost the same age. And Natchez isn't really that much better. My opinion, though. Scrolling up the chat here. What about Noah Dobson? Oh, good question. Yeah, I was just thinking forwards. Let's think about that one. Let me think about that one. Noah Dobson is a great defenseman. The Ducks have a need on the right side of defense. You can see here Good impact at 5-on-5. I mean, has been pretty consistent the last couple of years, except 2 years ago, I guess. And Noah Dobson is he is 25, so he is younger. He addresses a position of need. I think you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul there, where like you're taking away from one thing to help another thing. But I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that, and that would make sense because the right side of the blue line is kind of a big question mark for the next 3 to 4 years. You've got Gudis and Truba, who are not long-term fits for the team, and then you've got Luneau. What will he become? You've got Ian Moore, Drew Hellison. Like, you've got guys, but you don't have like a stud. And so, yeah, Dobson would make sense. I would agree with that. I love people freaking out as like that came out while I was talking. And no, it was not taken back. It was not taken back. Poor interpretation. Let's see. Okay. I saw Pawn Press posted a quote from Verbeek saying, "I have not spoken to Pat Morrison." I'm going to be honest with you, Pawn Press, not up there on my reliability scale. So, sorry. Sorry to Pawn Press. Truba's here long term. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Anything else? Anything else? Kyrou? Why would the Blues do that? Again, like, you have to think two-way street here. Why would the Blues trade Jordan Kyrou? They're the same age. They're on similar contracts. Jordan Kyrou is better. It doesn't make a ton of sense for either team. Who do you go to for reliability? Just follow the main insiders and reporters. Like, don't... I mean this well, but I think that when you follow people who aggregate news like Pawn Press and Fly Together, who I don't think I've heard of, you're at the mercy of how they present the news. And I think it's better to just follow the actual news breakers, because then you're just getting the information and you're not beholden to however it's presented or interpreted. So you could just follow both. I'm not saying don't follow Pawn Press, and I get that following Pawn Press makes it easier. It just consolidates everything, but I think it's important to also follow the primary sources. Kyle Verbeek didn't say anything, so we were safe. I actually think it's not a crazy take. Kyle Verbeek hasn't posted anything, so it can't be real. Yeah, maybe. Leo and Cutter get bridged or 8 years? I think those are the two who get the 8 years. But I could be very wrong about that. Okay. All right, well, if anyone has any last things you want me to hit, put them in now, because I think we're going to wrap this up. Oh, and Jake has tweeted. Okay, this makes more sense. Available to me means they are shopping him. Doesn't necessarily mean that. I would imagine it was more so his name came up in a trade conversation, which is a different connotation to me. A bit of semantics, though. Yes, it is semantics. Correct. Why are people treating that tweet like it changes everything? I don't get it. Are people crazy? Okay. Well, this was fun. That's all for now. Only so much I can talk about this. But thank you to everyone for tuning in. I have recorded this in a way where I just start talking immediately at the beginning. So if you missed anything, just watch the recording and it'll make a lot more sense that way. And on that note, have a good day.